Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The bold and the beautiful recap is finally in for Tuesday, August 5, 2025. In today's episode, John Finn Finnegan, Tanner Novlan, forces a confession out of Grace Buckingham, Cassandra Creech. Meanwhile, Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, falls into the water and needs saving. At the hotel, Eric Forrester, John Cook, continues telling Ridge about Nick Marone's, Jack Wagner, proposal plans. The designer refuses to let Brooke marry that guy. Ridge runs through the streets of Italy. Meanwhile, Nick and Brooke are told that the steering on the boat is no good. Then they have to wait for the weather to get better. Nick says the chef has something wonderful planned for them. A bit later, they get on the boat. Ridge tries to call Brooke, but it goes to voicemail. The designer leaves a message, saying there's something wrong with the boat. Brooke lies on the top of the speedboat as Nick jets off. Soon, Nick realizes there are no brakes on the boat. Instead of warning Brooke, he sees Ridge and starts making wild turns, almost crashing into another boat. When the boat makes a wild turn, Brooke screams as she falls into the water. Ridge leaps on some rocks and dives into the water. Over at Bill Spencer's, Don Diamond, Place, Hope Logan, Annika Noel, fusses over Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton. They talk about Grace. Liam owes her his life, but she is also associated with his brain tumor. They talk about Reese Buckingham's, Wayne Brady, gambling debts, and Beth Spencer's, Jordan Grace, switcheroo. In Grace's office at the hospital, Finn rips into her. The male doctor is starting to wonder if Liam was ever really sick at all. Grace denies it and comes up with excuses. Finn counters that it was expensive, but was it really necessary? Grace attempts to bolt, but Finn stops her. She's been stressed to the max for months. The man continues that Liam's incisions were incorrect, the speed of his recovery is scientifically impossible, and now he learns about her $1 million payday. Grace sobs and tells Finn that Reese's debt collectors are coming after her now. They threaten Zoe Buckingham, last played by Kiara Barnes, and Paris Buckingham, Diamond White. They know where all three of them live. While Finn does look like he feels bad for Grace, there is also a look of doubt on his face. The sun rose over Los Angeles, bathing the Forrester estate in a golden glow that couldn't quite reach the shadow hanging over its residents. Secrets still lingered in the air like thick perfume, heavy and unavoidable. Tuesday's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful was packed with tension, raw emotion, and one moment that left viewers gasping, literally. Grace confesses. A moment of shocking truth. At the hospital, the tension between Grace Buckingham and John Finn Finnegan finally exploded into a confrontation neither could avoid. After weeks of suspicion and mounting pressure, Finn demanded answers, and this time, Grace had nowhere left to run. "You looked me in the eye and told me Liam had stage 2 cancer," Finn said, his voice thick with disbelief. "That wasn't just a lie, that was cruel." Grace's face paled, but there was a flicker of defiance in her eyes. "I had my reasons, John," she replied quietly, choosing to use his first name, something she rarely did. "It wasn't meant to go this far." "Then how far was it meant to go?" Finn demanded, his voice rising. "You manipulated medical records. You let Hope believe her husband was dying. You made me doubt everything I knew. Why?" Grace's shoulders slumped. The mask cracked. "Because I wanted Luna out of this town. Out of your life. Away from my daughter," Grace admitted, her voice trembling. "I saw how entangled Luna was getting in all of this. She's young, she's vulnerable, and she doesn't know how dangerous this family can be. I panicked." Finn was stunned. Grace's hatred toward the Forresters had always been thinly veiled, but this crossed a line even he hadn't predicted. He looked at her not just as a manipulative mother, but now as someone capable of destroying lives under the illusion of protection. "You hurt everyone, Grace," he said. "Including your own daughter." Grace swallowed hard, her eyes glossing over with tears. I know, and I'll face the consequences. But everything I did out of love. Finn turned away, barely able to look at her. Love doesn't destroy people, he said flatly. It saves them. As Grace sat down, exhausted and beaten by her own choices, Finn stepped outside the room to gather himself and make a phone call. To Liam. Brooke's dangerous splash. Back at the Forrester mansion, preparations were underway for a small gathering. Brooke, radiant in a pale peach silk blouse, was overseeing everything with her usual flair. But beneath the calm exterior, her nerves were fraying. The pressure of Ridge's constant absence, the lingering memory of Sheila's return, and the stress of watching Hope spiral had taken a toll. But Brooke being Brooke, she smiled through it all. Donna watched her sister with growing concern. "Brooke, are you sure you're okay?" she asked. "You've been on your feet all day, barely touched water, and you look—" "I'm fine," Brooke said with a laugh. "It's just one afternoon. I need this, we all do." But fate had other plans. As the guests began to trickle in, Eric, Katie, RJ, Brooke stepped out onto the patio near the pool to adjust the flower arrangements. The ground was wet from a recent hose down, and in her high-heeled sandals, she slipped. The scream was short and sharp, and then came the splash. Gasps rang out as Brooke fell straight into the pool. At first, everyone laughed, until she didn't resurface. "Brooke!" Donna screamed, running toward the water. "Brooke!" RJ was the first to jump in, fully clothed, diving under to reach her. Seconds later, he pulled her up, unconscious. Panic set in. Katie called 911. Eric wrapped a towel around her, urging her to breathe. Time stood still. It wasn't just a fall. Brooke had hit her head on the concrete edge, and the blood mixing with the pool water was undeniable. As the ambulance arrived and paramedics loaded Brooke onto the gurney, Ridge burst onto the scene, his shirt calf buttoned and his face ashen. "What happened?" he barked, his voice cracking. "She slipped," Donna choked out. "We don't know how bad it is." "She didn't come up." Ridge rode in the ambulance, holding Brooke's hand. Whatever argument they'd had earlier in the week about Hope or Taylor or anything else melted away. All that mattered now was that she wake up. Liam's gratitude. At Spencer Publications, Liam sat quietly in his office, staring at a printed report that had nothing to do with work. It was a copy of his falsified medical records, the ones that said he was dying. The ones that had upended his world. The truth was now out. Grace had confessed, and while it brought a twisted sense of relief, it didn't erase the pain. Still, for the first time in weeks, Liam could breathe. He wasn't dying, he wasn't leaving Kelly behind. And Hope. Well, Hope was another story altogether. As he stared out the window, his phone buzzed. It was Finn. "Hey," Liam answered, cautiously. "I just spoke to Grace," Finn said. She confessed. Every word of it. The forged records. The lie about cancer. Everything. Liam closed his eyes, letting the validation wash over him. "Thank you," he said, his voice softer now. "I know we've had our differences, but I appreciate you pushing this. If it weren't for you—" "She's going to face charges," Finn said. "But I needed you to hear it from me. You deserve peace, Liam." After they hung up, Liam found himself staring at a framed photo of Kelly. There was something different in his expression now, hope, perhaps. Or maybe just relief. Later, he visited the Cliff House to see Steffi and Kelly. Their daughter ran to him with open arms, and for a moment, the weight of everything lifted. "Daddy," she squealed, wrapping her arms around his neck. "You came." "Of course I did," Liam said, his voice cracking. "I'm not going anywhere." Steffi watched the exchange with a small smile. She kept her guard up with Liam ever since the news about his illness. But now, knowing it was all a lie, it changed things. "I'm sorry you had to go through that," she said quietly once Kelly ran off to play. "It wasn't fair." "No, it wasn't," Liam said. "But maybe it reminded me what really matters." And it's not about who's with who or what job I have. It's Kelly, it's family. Steffi nodded, emotional. You're a good dad, Liam. No matter what else happens, she'll always know that. Back at the hospital. As Brooke was wheeled into emergency, Rich refused to leave her side. The doctors ordered scans, worried about potential head trauma. Donna and Eric arrived soon after, visibly shaken. I never should have let her out there alone, Donna sobbed. She was pushing herself too hard. Rich held her hand. This isn't your fault. Brooke's strong, she's come back from worse. The doctor came out after what felt like hours. She's stable, but she has a concussion. We'll need to monitor her for 24 hours. Relief swept over the group like a wave. But it came with warnings. Brooke needed rest and, more importantly, needed to slow down. When she finally opened her eyes, Ridge was the first thing she saw. You stayed, she whispered. Always, he said. Tears glistened in her eyes. I could have, I thought. Kesh, Ridge said, brushing hair from her forehead. You're going to be okay. We've got more life to live, Logan. The fallout. By evening, word of Grace's confession had reached everyone from Hope to Carter. Luna, devastated by her mother's manipulations, refused to answer Grace's calls. She sat alone in her apartment, staring at a picture of herself and her mother from happier times. I don't know who you are anymore, she whispered. At Forrester Creations, Hope struggled with the guilt of how she treated Liam during his illness. Her designs sat untouched. She looked around the office and realized that the professional world she built was starting to crumble, because her personal life was already in ruins. And in the shadows of LA, Sheila Carter watched everything unfold from her own hidden perch, a wicked smirk on her lips. Things fall apart so easily when you give them just the right push, she said to herself. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Final scene, full circle. As night fell, Liam returned home and sat in silence. He took a long breath and dialed Hope's number. She didn't pick up, but he left a message. I know things have been painful, and I don't know what comes next, but I want you to know, no matter what, I'm grateful for every moment we had, and I'm not going to waste whatever time I've got left with anger. Take care of yourself, Hope, that's all I ask. He hung up and looked out the window as the city lights twinkled below. Somewhere, amidst all the chaos, the truth had finally come to light. But peace? That was still a long way off. Brooke's recovery takes an unexpected turn. Luna confronts Grace in a heartbreaking showdown. Hope makes a bold move to reclaim her career and her independence. And Rich finds himself caught between two loyalties. Again. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Boldy and BAUTIFUL UPDAT YouTube channel for more update news.